the murderer, the man who killed a protester, okay? Well, he's not exactly a model prisoner. Let's put the picture up full mass. I will remind you of the background. Charlottesville car attacker killer has now been caught with a weapon. James Alex Field, the Ohio white supremacist who's currently serving a life sentence for the deadly car ramming death of Heather Heyer. At the 2017 Unite the Right rally, remember that? This was in Charlottesville. He is now accused of a string of misconduct at the federal prison in Springfield. Now, obviously, I expect Marjorie Taylor Greene at any moment to launch an affirmative defense for his shenanigans. Fields pleaded guilty to a series of federal hate crimes in connection to the car attack, which killed the 32-year-old and wounded dozens more. These were counter-protesters. They were counter-protesting the white supremacist. This is when Donald Trump said, actually, really good people on both sides here, okay? The revelations have surfaced, according to the DOJ, as the Justice Department seeks to seize hundreds of dollars in Fields' prison inmate account to help pay for nearly $81,000 in unpaid restitution and fine costs from his criminal case. The Justice Department also said Fields has yet to pay fines for the misconduct in which he allegedly engaged while in prison. According to a court filing from prosecutors, Fields was fined $250 for possessing a dangerous homemade weapon in December 2020 while serving his term. Prison records also show Fields was accused of another incident weeks later. The records allege he made a threatening remark to an officer in January 2021. Other incidents of misconduct, including being insolent to prison staff and refusing to appear at a hearing. The records also shed light on the disciplinary actions utilized by prison officials in cases like Fields. The records list, and I quote, punishment for misconduct included seizing of his personal property, suspension of personal phone and email privileges, monetary fines, and the removal of his mattress during daylight hours. In court filings earlier this year, prosecutors alerted a federal judge in Charlottesville that Fields has obtained, and I quote, substantial fund in his prisoner inmate account, though the Justice Department sealed the names of the suspected donors. Testimony in a federal civil lawsuit against Fields indicated a known white supremacist had contributed the money. A known white supremacist contributed the money, while others had sent correspondence in the past 5 years. Now, before I move on, please understand, don't gloss over the fact that the federal government has decided to intentionally not let anyone know who gave him the money. You know, they could have just said, that's none of our business. We're not going to go the extra mile and seal any of this. If somebody wants to send money to a known killer who is a white supremacist, so be it. Go through the channels, the normative process to find out who it is. We won't get involved. So why in the world would the DOJ literally get in the middle of sealing the identity or identities of individuals who have given him substantial funding? Prosecutors are seeking to seize the money to use for unpaid fines and restitution ordered by the federal court as part of Fields' plea. In a new court filing, the Justice Department said the Bureau of Prisons does not unilaterally seize money from an inmate's account, even to pay fines incurred for misconduct in the prison. That is true. They don't seize it, but they can freeze it. All right, they are able to do that through an administrative dynamic. I checked earlier today. So what in the hell is going on? All right, Dan, thoughts here.
This highlights, with one example of many, why people don't really trust the justice system to handle and impart justice fairly. You look at this person, he's been convicted of killing Heather Heyer in this like white supremacist incident. We've seen it's a hate crime, we've seen that it's a murder. And in other situations, to the point where it's been parodied in movies and TV shows. Gangs, when one of their own gets caught up and put in jail, they get taken care of. That's the whole point. That's like part of the brotherhood of that. So the federal government, like you're pointing out here, is going, we're acknowledging that this is some kind of gang affiliation. He's part of this white nationalist group, this white nationalist thinking of a replacement theory. We know it's a hate crime. We know it's a hate group. We know he's getting a lot of money from at least one person affiliated with them. And we're not gonna do anything about it. We're just gonna move that forward. And that is something that you wanna remember as one instance in many of the history of this country, the recent history of this country to this present day, but even going back the past 10, 20, 50, 60 years, where justice is handled a little bit impartially or a lot with a little bit of a lighter, strong fist than you would see it in other cases. And then you put some other dots together and you start to form your other opinions about this government and who it really works for.
Yeah, it is so interesting that they seal the identity or identities, because literally once a person submits that kind of money on record to a federal prison or to a prisoner, that becomes a public record. That public record is discoverable. That public record can be obtained through the FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, open records request. That is statutory. The fact that they sealed it keeps it away from people like me writing that email or sending that letter and getting that name. I need to know why.